out there in SJU land. Welcome to our spoiler chat for Ms. Marvel episode 4. The title of the episode is Seeing Red. And once again, I'm going to reiterate before we get into it, this is a spoiler chat. We're going to spoil the heck out of this thing, top to bottom. We're going to talk about the ending, the very last scene. If you have not seen Seeing Red episode 4 of Ms. Marvel yet on Disney Plus, get out of here, go watch it, and then come back and watch this video. I'm your host, Lon Harris. Joining me, the lovely Kim Taylor Foster, the lovely Ed Greer.
Hey.
So delighted to have both of you here to talk with me about this episode, Seeing Red, written by Sabir Pirzada, AC Bradley, and Matthew Chauncey, directed by Sharmeen Obaid Chinoy, debuted late last night on Disney Plus. Well, to start us off, Kim, what did you think of the episode?
Well, first of all, when the first episode aired, we were comparing the series to Turning Red, and now this episode is called Seeing Red. So some very obvious comparisons throughout, and meanings of what red could refer to, I think, are obvious and the same in both. But what did I think of this episode? Well, overall, I really enjoyed it. I loved going to Karachi and learning more about her family. And that's one of the things that I love the most about this series, aside from the superhero stuff, is learning more. It feels like a history lesson for me, you know, learning about the partition and everything, and it kind of heartbreaking. That's the stuff that I'm really loving. But also we got some cool action, and the visual flourishes are still there. You know, like I really loved the text message in the sky out of the kites was really pretty. But you know, that's a motif that they're using throughout the series. And the comedy still, you know, Iman Vellani is so funny and a real find, and also her mum. I'm enjoying her too. So we got lots from them as well as the action, and discovered more about the bad guys and Noor and everything. So I'm a happy viewer.
It was a packed episode. Ed, jump in here. Do you agree? Disagree? What do you think?
Oh, I disagree with her well-reasoned statements right off the bat. This is like an ESPN show for nerds. I'm just going to say the opposite thing. No, I mean, obviously, Kim's right on point. And one of the things that I enjoyed about it was the more they keep unfolding the puzzle box of her origin and her, it's kind of one of these things where most of the time I'm kind of PO'd by this point of all of this, you know, dangling of information, and I gotta wait for this, and like the world is on her shoulders. But she's got to go to the dance. Of course she has to. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That stuff normally gives me Buffy vibes, and I am of that generation that didn't get Buffy. But this is Buffy for my generation, or Buffy for the new Buffy, in regards to I'm a teenage girl, I have teenage girl problems, but damn it, I got to be super too. And like each episode shows another aspect of weighing her personal life versus her superhero life, her inner like journey versus her outward effect on the world. So I really like that. And each episode it explores that in a different way.
Yeah, I hate to make it a agreement party around here. It's not interesting in terms of conflict, but I totally agree. I love the moving of it to Karachi for this episode, and just to explore the city. And I really like that the balance for this whole show feels like we're going to de-emphasize the super stuff. It's still there. There's still a superhero narrative going on, but it's really kind of taking the backseat to the story about this girl, investigating her family origin, learning more about who she is and her identity and this sort of shared identity. I really like that it took me an episode or two to get on board, but I really like that they kind of made that decision. Before we go any further, I want to pause. Thank you all for watching so much. Remind you to subscribe to our channel right here for new videos all the time. Hit the like button, hit that bell so you find out. This isn't the first time you've heard a YouTube person, probably the first time you've heard a YouTube person with this much gray in their beard tell you this, but not the first time you've heard them ever. I know Mr. Beast is giving you the same shtick. And also be sure to check out the Fandom Twitch channel with Emma and Bailey. They're playing games. I think they're doing the Quarry now, which is some kind of game about different teenagers die every time you play. I don't know. That's what I keep hearing. So check all that stuff out. Okay, now back to Ms. Marvel. We also got, before we go any further, we got a lot of exposition, as Ed sort of mentioned. Waleed, this new character we met, who is head of the Red Daggers, a clandestine group of heroes in Karachi. He sort of gave us this whole download about the clandestines and their world, how the Noor dimension blocks their world from our world, and if they open this portal to go home, we're in danger. He had like a nice little multimedia display set up in their hideout, just in case visitors come by and you have to tell them about the Noor dimension. So, I mean, exposition dumps kind of sometimes take you out of it, but I thought this sequence was pretty well done. It moved pretty quickly. What do you think about the clandestines in general? And is this the Marvel universe giving us Inhumans in an integrated way, or do you think Inhumans are still to come, or we're kicking that can down the road, and this is specifically Noor dimension clandestine stuff? Either one. Who wants to jump?
There's a lot there. I mean, as villains, the clandestines have yet to grab me. You know, there's a couple of episodes left. Maybe there'll be more reveals that turn me on, so to speak. But at the moment, they're pretty two-dimensional. But it, you know, as we were saying, the show is as much, if not more, about a young teenage girl and the culture clash that she's experiencing, and you know, the issues with her family and everything, than anything else. So I would imagine that there's little else than their desire to get back home. Although we've yet to find out why they are exiled,
right? Which
is interesting. Yeah,
and how they even got here.
Yes, well, yes, yeah. If the veil of Noor is intact still and did not destroy Earth, they got here some other way, right?
Exactly. Yeah, and I mean, I think that I like how there's obviously this sort of duality of they're making a specific comparison to the partition of India, this real historical event that divided the Indian people, and some of them had to go move to what is now Pakistan, and some of them stayed behind. And you know, obviously, it's taking a fictionalized sort of interdimensional version of that, and the way that they're balancing those two stories and having them sort of reflect each other, I think, is really interesting. And what's your take? Are these Inhumans by another name?
I think it is by another name, and I think I kind of hope that it remains that. I don't want them to try to weirdly dovetail back and be like, oh, well, actually, the first people in the Noor dimension were Inhumans, or vice versa. I think that's weird. I also think that it's not necessary. I think a lot of the things that I know people were very attached to the comic book's power set in regards to her morphogenic powers in the comic book represented her uncomfortableness in her own body, and, you know, all kind of dysmorphia issues and jazz, where it's like, oh, look, I got big weird hands and stuff. Whereas her making her hands really big with light constructs doesn't seem to hit that same teen girl doesn't understand herself thing that people got obsessed with. But for me, especially when we're dealing with a girl of Pakistani descent, we're doing all this partition stuff, just the depths within herself that she has to find and reconnect with to reach her true powers. It's a real big trope in these sort of stories, is the more you learn about yourself, the more, you know, click your heels 3 times, it was always within you, all this kind of jazz. They put you through this ringer to learn what you should have already known, but that's kind of the some immigrants experience. You know, certain things are hidden from you because it's too painful. You know, certain things are hidden from you because American culture gets downloaded into your brain and kind of pushes some of your other attributes or your heritage to the side, in your own mind, so that you can assimilate. So I think her having to go back to Karachi and rediscover, you know, more who she is, to get, you know, more of her powers and to learn that she's part of this giant conflict, I think that's kind of infinitely more interesting than her being a tertiary part of the Inhuman saga.
Right. Waleed says something. We actually saw the shot where he's talking about this just now. Says something I think is very interesting, which is it's not just that she's descended from these people from another dimension. It's that she's also part human, and it's the combined identity of the Noor dimension plus humanity that gives her this special power. And that, I mean, obviously in an immigrant story, in a story about finding your identity and growing up and coming of age, all of this is sort of, you know, super relevant thematically. And I think that may be sort of how we move forward, is that regardless of the origins or whatever, it's the people with connections in both of those worlds that get the whatever the Ms. Marvel power set ends up specifically being defined as. It also was interesting that that was the exact same theme that popped up last week in Star Trek Strange New Worlds, where Spock is having this same journey of realization that it being half, Vulcan and half human doesn't make him lesser. It makes him this new thing, and he has to figure out how to live as this sort of hybrid identity. And it's interesting that both of these shows are kind of exploring that idea at the same time.
I also love that she gets her little vest. Can we talk about her little vest?
Sure.
After getting her mask, and they're building her costume.
You got to slowly assemble the costume. The MCU loves to slowly assemble the costume over several incarnations.
But she's, since the beginning, since the first episode, she's mainly only worn versions of it. She's always in red and gold and blue. In various iterations, and so are some of the other characters as well. It's obviously a strong kind of association with this series, those three colors, because of Captain Marvel too. Yeah. So
I'm also that's the Netflix bit. They used to do that in their Marvel shows, where it's like Daredevil gets like one piece. He figures out one piece of the suit at a time until like the end of season 1. It's like full Daredevil outfit for the first time. That's interesting. I never thought about that.
Yeah.
She still hasn't got her name yet either, so
no, yeah. Presumably that'll probably
Nightlight.
Right at the end. Deleted into the Marvels. They haven't called her Nightlight in a while though. But it does bring me, speaking of superhero names, we got to talk about the Red Daggers, which Red Dagger, Kareem, that character with the bandana over his face, he's from the comics. But he's just the Red Dagger. Now they've exploded it into this whole sort of secret society. Do you think we're done with the Red Daggers? Do you think we're done with Waleed? Is he going to stay dead, or is this going to be, we got to bring them back for Ms. Marvel season 2?
There was a moment where I thought, perhaps he's not dead, but it feels to me like actually, they're just leaving it as Kareem being a singular Red Dagger and becoming her sidekick here. Also, in terms of the coming of age story and finding herself, he's another potential love interest. She's got Bruno, who's in love with her clearly, and her affection for Cameron, and now Kareem. So it's like a typical kind of love square when you're a teenager.
Well, at least one of those guys is trying to kill her, so he's probably out of the picture. The Cameron, I think, I said, took a turn, but we're definitely still at least two viable potential options.
Well, I think there always has to be there always has to be a bad. She's got I guess 2 bad boys and 1 good boy, in her square.
Bruno's a little whiny, but I think he's a good guy overall. He's like a nice guy, kind of, but he'll get over that. He's got it.
Hey, but at least you don't, at least he doesn't surf certain forums. I don't think Bruno spends a lot of time on Reddit being a sad boy. No. Going like, I helped this chick become a superhero and she still won't be my girlfriend.
He's doing inventing things.
AITA, he puts at the end of his post. No, so no, I think again, when she finds the person who'll knit her sleeves all super cool, I hope she doesn't go to the Stark Foundation to get those sleeves. Like I had my Superstore jacket and I had my rest of my outfit, but I had the sleeves. I had to get those professionally made.
Sleeves.
Yeah, I want to see how all that coalesces. But
that's all of episode 5. It's just going to be how Kamala got her sleeves.
Yeah, I mean this next episode where you're talking about that, I don't want to leap ahead or try to do any wrap up, but I like the end of this episode because of the fact that it just hints at almost a new type of episode for the series. Like maybe she'll be trapped there for the entirety of the episode until she learns what she needs to learn to get back to real time and get back to this reality, and she'll be armed with new information. So I'm very much this was such a great. It didn't seem like it was killing time. It seemed like you said, it delivered so much exposition. It delivered so much packed in one episode that I think certain things did get short shrift, like the escape of the two-dimensional villains Kim was talking about. I mean,
Yeah.
dude, if you are multi-dimensional Jinn who have magic powers that you just whip out and make and they embiggen their weapons. I think they carry small versions of their weapons and they embiggen them with their powers. And then like the Fox Molders of the world have to come in and shoot you with sonic weaponry. And then you just have two random guys guarding them in a dank hallway away from everybody. I mean, the security wherever the hell they're at.
Not really Supermax, is it? Not really.
It's the same person who designed the Illuminati's hideout for Doctor Strange too.
But it's not a Supermax, it's a super mid.
Yeah.
This is super mid security.
I got to assume that if you're going to go to the trouble of time travel, zapping someone back to the 40s, that's going to be like the next episode, I feel like, right? Like, I don't think she's going to go back there for a scene. I feel like she comes back and then episode 6, fully powered up Ms. Marvel, height of her, like now she knows what she can really do, and she's gonna kick some clandestine.
I wasn't sure whether she was able to interact with people in that sequence or whether she's just just an onlooker.
It's true that the train does not seem to notice that there's a person on the tracks right in front of it. Like it doesn't seem like nobody's like, hey, get out of the way, the train is leaving.
No,
yeah, and nobody was like, oh, look at your like back in the 70s they used to have people react to Superman's outfit. That's a bad outfit.
Oh, right.
nobody was like, hey, look at those kicks you got on.
Right, she's wearing jeans and shoes and sneakers. Yeah, like people would probably notice. But
look at that vest. It's particularly fresh.
But I also feel like we got a lot of the sort of explanation of who the villains are and how the powers work, why she has powers, what the bangle is. I feel like what we're missing still is this family backstory of explaining why is her mom the way that she is? Why is there this strained relationship with so many other members of her family? And now that we've met the cousins and we've met the grandma, I have to feel like that's what the flashback is there. We're going to fill in a lot of these gaps in terms of the Khan family and how they came to be in their present day situation.
Yeah, I mean, I've wondered kind of from the start whether her mother has the same powers. Whether she's ever unlocked them or not, I don't know. But in a kind of a turning red type twist,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it would make sense. And if if it runs in her family, then or maybe it skips a generation like twins.
Well, and that would also, speaking in terms of turning red, it would help to explain, because I think one of the things that they sort of set up in the pilot, but then haven't really come back around to, is this idea of her parents being so restrictive, so worried about her. You can't go here, you can't go there. And I think they sort of tie it into, well, they're a traditional family, they're a religious family. And I mean, that's an explanation, but I feel like we're going to delve into that more too, just like we did in Turning Red, that it's this specific elements of their background of the grandmother wandering off and almost not making it back, people being separated for generations or whatever. It's going to fuel some of this anxiety about raising a daughter in present day Jersey City.
Yeah, I don't know. I really hope that I kind of hope that it is just a story to her mom, because I think that that's the thing that creates this rift, right? It's like her Kamala's mom wants to keep her away, because I don't know why she would allow Kamala to have the bangle if she knew that it could even possibly unlock all of this stuff. She just sort of gets it in the mail with a bunch of other knickknacks, you know what I mean?
You could also say, why would she bring her to Karachi if she was so worried about her getting in touch with this ancient destiny? Don't bring her back around your mom, who's going to tell her about all the secrets.
I think it's going to be more that, it's also a story trope, and tropes are there because they easily communicate information and we love them. So I think it's going to be more that trope of like, it was real all the time, and your obsessiveness during my childhood may have alienated you from me, but my mom being obsessive about this weird power and this weird power saving her during the partition, that was all real. And maybe some of the anger I feel towards my mom was kind of misplaced. And then Kamala could be like, well, maybe some of the anger toward my mom was misplaced because she didn't quite understand what I was undertaking, and so on and so forth. So everybody can heal, as it were.
So you're thinking they're going to Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade?
Yes, very much so.
Yeah,
Very much so.
Oh, the Holy Grail was real the whole time. Dad, I forget.
Right. And then, hey, if I wasn't hard on you, we wouldn't have survived this damn adventure. You know?
Yeah, only in the leap from the lion's head will he prove his worth. Exactly.
Yeah.
Anything else from that? I'm going to jump into some fan questions, some viewer questions. But before I do that, anything else you guys really want to touch on from this episode of Ms. Marvel?
Yeah, well, throughout the series, there's been hints. Well, there's talk in this episode of the second Bangle. Yes. Which has not appeared, and I presume will appear at some point. I guess maybe Aisha has that, and this is the second Bangle, maybe, because Waleed said that he'd never heard about this inscription before, right? That was on this Bangle, so perhaps that's the second one, and so we don't know. There was some talk about not knowing whether the Bangle on its own would work, so yeah, what happens when the two meet? Is that going to presumably resolve everything without destroying the earth?
There's also the quote that is on the Bangle. It's a Rumi quote. What you seek is seeking you, is what the Bangle says.
Yes.
So either the answer to her family history is seeking her to deliver her destiny, or the other Bangle is seeking her. That's what she's seeking. So remains to be seen what that cryptic quote from Rumi means.
Yeah, the Bangle, just one last aside from me. The Bangle is first of all, I love to say Bangle ever since the 80s. I love to say Bangle. Mm-hmm. And I think it's very well designed. I've seen some things like that look really hokey, and like a Star Trek episode where you had like, hey, these guys had 5 minutes in woodshop to do this, even though it's a multi-million-dollar production. I like the way it looks. And and it's really priming me for maybe her getting to, because in the comic books, Captain Marvel banged together the Negabands, and he was able to change spaces with Captain Marvel, and Rick Jones was able to change time and space with Captain Marvel and come to this universe and all this kind of jazz. So I wonder what they're going to do with that. Like what, as Kim was stating, what powers are unleashed when both of the Bangles come into play, and will her mastery of both Bangles allow, well, you know what's going to happen. The Jinn are going to be allowed to go home. The clandestine ones are going to be allowed to go home some kind of way. We're going to find out they were so mean because they just couldn't stand, the modern world. Once the internet was introduced, they were like, this world sucks. I got to go back home. I don't have time for conversations. I don't have time for seduction, Kamran. We got to get this done. Let's go.
Reading that Darkhold. That'll turn you quick.
Oh God,
don't read that Darkhold. All right, let's do some questions. We got a bunch of these backed up. We'll start with Brent Dreyer. Do you think, in terms of the name Ms. Marvel, do you think Kamala is going to come up with it herself, or do you think someone is going to dub her Ms. Marvel, or maybe, is she not going to be named Ms. Marvel on camera by the end of this show? Give me your prediction.
That's possible, but I feel Bruno will name her, although I'd like to think it will be her, because she will have come of age and be independent and decide that that's the most fitting name. But I think Bruno will give it to her.
Yeah, if I was a betting man, I would say Bruno, or her mom and dad. Just them coming around to something about it, because I don't know if she can. I don't know if the mom can survive this adventure without finding out about her powers and stuff. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I would lay even money on Bruno, or her parents, or herself. I lay my money 3 ways. I'd hedge my bets 3 ways.
I don't know. I got a feeling Feige's gonna pull a patented Feige, and we're gonna get one of those moments. You know how I believe it's Age of Ultron ends, and you get the zoom in on Chris Evans, and he's like, all right, Avengers, boom, cut to directed by Joe and Anthony Russo. I feel like I don't even remember what movie that's in. It's one of those. That would be Joss Whedon who directed Age of Ultron. Anyway, I feel like we're gonna get one of those. It's gonna be like, well, what are you gonna call yourself? Hey, what about boom, cut to credits, directed by whoever, and they'll leave that for the Marvels movie to introduce her using the name. That's my secret guess. We shall see. I feel like it would be weird for the parents, just because when they put the Ms on there, I feel like they would just go Miss Marvel.
if it was her mum, I feel like it would be in conversation where she would be like, "Oh my God, you're a little Marvel, you're a little Miss Marvel," and it would have nothing to do with
no, that's
Captain
good.
Marvel.
That's a good guess. Yeah, the way you just said it, I'm like, oh yeah, that sounds right. Alois Weimar, I believe is how you pronounce this. Is Bruno a Ducky-like character? You guys get the reference. You know, we all know.
Yeah,
we all know Ducky here. Okay. What do you think? Is he here to be the Ducky? Is she going to come around on him? Are they OTP? What's the deal?
I think he is destined to be. You know, it does kind of break my heart a little bit. He's those looks that he gave her at the wedding. Oh, and he's so supportive of her. It's just all about her. I don't want it to be the case, but sadly, I think he will be unrequited.
Yeah, he's gonna be a villain in season 2. Now, I think you know what? He's gonna be fine. He's brilliant. He looks like a TV star. He's going to Caltech. I'm sure he'll get some he'll meet some girl in the library and it'll be fine. He'll be okay.
It's weird to write that in there. I think he's sort of fulfilled his purpose in the story. So it's obvious that she doesn't have feelings for him other than platonic, like he's her buddy. So why it's weird to even write that in. They've very clearly written this unrequited love story where her best friend is sort of, in the friend zone and wishes they could figure it out and she's not into it. I don't understand. I guess it'll have some sort of payoff. It seems like a weird thing to put in there.
Yeah, but a post-credit scene, like, okay, he's not gonna become a mean guy on Reddit.
Yeah, you gotta show him meet a girl on campus or something.
It's just one of those things, one of those parts of growing up, and that's why it's in there, I think.
It's true. It's like usually like they would at least give him like, well, there's another girl in their class who he'll sort of like the end.
Maybe that will happen in the final episode. Someone else will catch his eye. And
yeah, they haven't given us an out yet, but maybe they will. Last question. Zayas B. Liu mentions, and this is a story that is all the buzz on social media, not directed at Ms. Marvel, but I'm going to throw it to you guys anyway because it's Marvel. Howard Stern was speaking into a hot mic this morning, didn't realize he was still being broadcast, and mentioned that he's going to shoot something related to Dr. Doom this summer. Now, it is fueling a lot of speculation that Howard Stern might be Dr. Doom. I think that sounds pretty far-fetched, but have you heard about this? What do you think of this? And if you were going to put Howard Stern in a Dr. Doom project, what role would he have?
He's surely cameoing as himself.
My guess would be yes. In this world, there is a DJ who talks about things the Fantastic Four and Dr. Doom are doing. Maybe at one point he interacts in some way with that world. That would be my guess. I don't think you cast Howard Stern as a non-DJ character.
No, like a new J. Jonah Jameson type figure. Yeah,
he's the shock jock of this corner of the MCU.
Yeah.
So does Dr. Doom go on Howard Stern? He's just in his full Dr. Doom regalia, sitting on a couch, and Robert Quivers is laughing at him. Do not laugh at me, woman. Yeah.
I find your crude humor distasteful.
Bring me Richards. I don't know what you're talking about, man. I'm just shock jock.
I'm not sure it would have just
shut up for a second. Let me ask you something.
Yeah, I'm not sure he would have just outed himself as the new Dr. Doom like that. So.
It's very weird too, because of all the people in the world who are going to be an expert at knowing when they're on the air and when they're not off the air. I mean, he's only been doing this for like 5 decades now. You would think that it's a weird mistake for Howard Stern to randomly make, especially when he's talking about something with so much potential interest from the public. I mean, we don't even know what this project would be, because he says, I'm shooting Dr. Doom, not Fantastic Four. So who knows?
I think that's just a sort of lovely slip of the tongue maybe an older gentleman might make, and then all of us nerds just got to parse it out. We're all Fox Mulders in our head with all the red yarn connecting all these points. It might just be some interns getting super fired today.
Yeah. Well, I thought it was weird that everybody jumped right to, Howard Stern is playing Dr. Doom, which is he does not say that, and that's a big MCU role. I don't know if you want to go for a guy who's really only been in one movie. He's great. He's very good in Private Parts. But I don't know.
Nerds gonna nerd. Nerds are definitely gonna nerd.
All right, I'm looking if we have any more on the. Oh, here we go. To close it out, one more question. We met the Red Dagger. If you were going to have a secret identity, this is from Reynard City Update Chat. If you were going to have your own color/object name for your secret organization, you can't use the Red Daggers. That one's taken.
Ooh.
What are you picking?
Ooh.
Depends on what I'm talking about. Sometimes I'm pretty chill, but sometimes I'm Brown Fury.
There you go. That works. That Fury's a thing. I'll accept it.
Oh, well, I've got. So I'm going to say pink rancor because I've got a rancor in front of me.
Sure. Never seen one with a pink rancor.
No, well, there you go.
I'm going to say orange zest because it's a play on words. That's my secret organization. We're the orange zest.
Yeah. Oh man, you should make a super team. Somebody's got to get us. I call the vest. I want my own vest.
Very vest heavy episode today. I think that's all we've got for Ms. Marvel episode 4. Thank you so much for joining us. Be sure to, do all the things I already told you to do. Like, subscribe, watch Emma and Bailey on Twitch. We'll see. They're going to be back with another Ms. Marvel review next week. Will I still be here? Will this panel still be there? I don't know. That's not up to me. Tune in next time and see who's here talking to you about Ms. Marvel. For Ed Greer, for Kim Taylor Foster, I'm Lon Harris. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We'll see you next time.